Let's start the hour with a big hearty,
Hey, man.
That's what I like to hear. John, this game is interesting because two things. Ritter has not won on the road yet, and that is kind of the truest test for a quarterback making his way in the NFL. They are banged up, and I know that injuries are part of football, but there are certainly more on that side than ours, and at the very important positions. Corner, edge rusher, one of their best weapons, wide receiver with a toe injury.
Two offensive linemen.
Right, two big, and a guard and a tackle.
Right, and David Montgomery. So, I mean, he's questionable.
Although Jahmyr Gibbs, I got to be honest, I thought, were you the only, was I the only guy who thought of that first Thursday night game I'd see more Jahmyr Gibbs? Montgomery got on a heater, so they were smart to roll with him that night, but I think we're going to see a lot of Gibbs.
Yeah, no, and Gibbs is a very talented player. I mean, he and Bijan, top 12 picks in the NFL draft. I guess first time you've had two running backs taken top 12 since Fournette and McCaffrey. This is a very good Detroit team. They are banged up. Good news for the Atlanta Falcons is Falcons are getting healthier. It looks like CP84 wants to give it a shot. Jeff Okudah looks like he will play. And there was an illness for Bud Dupree, but apparently he's gotten better overnight. They didn't specify what kind of illness he had, but apparently he's over that. So that's all good. Atlanta's coming into this game as healthy as they've been all year. So that's a good sign, too, here. Can they build on what they did in the fourth quarter against Green Bay? Let's hope that they can. Now, ESPN's picked the game, and both the ESPN experts are taking the Lions in a high-scoring game. 131-27, the other 30-20. I thought that was kind of interesting because it doesn't strike me that that's the kind of game that Arthur wants to play.
Right.
I mean, Arthur wants to play that 24-23. He
Ground
wants
chuck.
to play 20-17. Right. He wants to play that kind of game.
Right.
And so, high scoring. I mean, we're not. I got a mouse in my pocket. The Falcons are not a vertical passing team by design.
On this show in Atlanta, you can say we. We are Falcon fans. Now, not you, Carl and I are season ticket holders. The royal we is acceptable. Look, be a huge win for us in Motown. I think that one of the things that most Falcon fans kind of look at, they scoff at, is Goff. And we talked about this earlier in the week. I know you and Carl talked about it because Goff was traded almost like spare parts to go get Matthew Stafford in there, and they won. And the fact that it was a real turd here at the Super Bowl. People look at Goff as damaged goods, but his numbers are comparable with Kirk Cousins, certainly better than anything the Falcons have rolled out the last 4 years. And if you give him time, he can still cut you up. And between Reynolds and Amon St. Brown, they got some weapons.
Yeah, Amon-Ra can play. I mean, he is a really good wide receiver. One of those kind of unsung wide receivers. Amon-Ra, both the St. Browns are good. Equiminius is too. But Amon-Ra is really a very, he's the kind of guy that suddenly you look up at the stats and you go, wait, that guy's got 8 catches for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. What did that? I mean, he's that kind of guy. And so, no, you got to guard against it. You got to guard against one of the things that the Falcons have seen as teams, both Carolina and Green Bay, at portions of the game, we're playing downhill against them. And I know that we've had a team that has outscored the opposition 27-0 in the fourth quarter, dominated both fourth quarters. That's all wonderful. But there have been times during the game that I think Falcons fans need to see this team exert itself and sort of, you can't have another one of those first down and goal of the ones, throw two passes and kick a field goal.
Well, we did the interview with Arthur Smith on a Wednesday, and he kind of broke it down. What they were trying to see, what I love about Arthur is, with all due respect, and it always goes back to Dan Quinn, Smitty was honest too, to a fault, but Arthur will not try to sugarcoat it. Here's what we were trying to do. Here's why it didn't work, and we'll try to do better. And Ritter, look, he should have had 3 picks.
Right.
Carl's like, no. I'm like, well, 2 were dropped. 2 hit 2 guys in the chest.
Yep.
Jair Alexander and Kay, the other guy, had a chance to pick a ball and maybe take it to the house. The good news is this team is resilient, and I don't want to be a second half team. I want to be a 4-quarter team. We joked around with Arthur about this, but they generally don't make the same mistake twice. I know that sounds cliched, but in that red zone situation, what got them there, they used some imagination. They used that Jono Smith as the lead blocker for a designed run for Ritter. And then once they got inside the 2, it was like, why are we throwing? I'm with you. I didn't even Arthur explained it. I'd have preferred to give Algier 2 or 3 cracks and or Bijan.
Yeah, but to talk about this game at large, just from 30,000 feet, any Falcons fan would have said to you, coming back home from London, if this team is 2-2 going into the Houston game, you're going to be favored against Houston, you're going to be favored against Washington. We got a chance to go to 4-2. If they win this game, they go to London playing with house money. And that's where they can maybe relax a little bit, because of the starting 6 games, it is the least important game in London against the Jaguars.
Right.
And not to say that you back off the throttle or anything. You want to win the game, you're going to try and win the game, but it doesn't kill you if you lose the game. As long as you beat Houston and Washington, you're 5-1. You win this game, 5-1's in play to start the year.
Right.
You're 5-1. Your chances of going to the playoffs, they just went to here. The Falcons started the season 35% chance of going to the playoffs. 2 wins have them at 75%.
Right.
Mike, they're 5-1. They're at 90% chance to make the playoffs.
And the NFC is pretty top heavy. I think the 49ers kind of showed that they are the best team in the conference, and the Eagles are right up there in that mix. But then it's wide open. Now, our division, the Bucs have established that they're not going away just yet. They're not dead.
Yep.
And the Saints, even though there was no style points in their Monday night win against Carolina, grinded one out.
Yeah, but they're doing this without Kamara.
Correct. And eventually, after his 4 games with Joe Palooka in Vegas, we'll get him. It was Quay Walker, the other Packer player I couldn't remember from the pick that hit him right in the chest. But I love Ritter. Carl loves him more. Not gonna lie. I've joked around about game manager. This is one of those games. At some point, you're gonna need him to really step it up. Now, as strange as some of those throws were, the laser that he threw, which I thought was amazing. The throw to Drake London, and then the balls on Arthur Smith to go for it on 4th down. The big dive into the end zone. You'll hear Jake Matthews talk about that coming up. Jake's view from his left tackle position. So there's some good things happening. And as John brought up earlier, who cares about the power rankings and all the different individual websites and so-called media experts who don't understand what we're doing? There's a couple of teams doing things very uniquely. And I don't think what Arthur's trying to do with this offense plays in the past happy NFL.
No, I totally agree. And I look at this team as a work in progress. And so if you can get off to this quick start.
But 2-0 is ahead of schedule for me.
Well, it's very much ahead of schedule. I would have taken 1-1.
Right.
If you had said, 1-1 to start the season, okay, I could see them losing to Green Bay. I mean, but they didn't. And they managed to pull it out of the fire. So they go to Detroit and they get to 3-0. And they went on the road. Not only do you go to 3-0, but you get the tiebreaker that you just got with Green Bay. You're going to get a tiebreaker with the Lions, too. So all this plays out really well for the Atlanta Falcons to start the season. Now, obviously, it's a long year. A lot of things are going to happen between now and then. But this team, we do know this. This team strikes me as one team that will be better as the season goes along. And I think what you're seeing, one of the things I thought that was interesting in the first couple of games, you're seeing Arthur Smith set up stuff for later in the year. I'll give you an example. He's setting up 4th down and 1, and they come out and they're going to run.
Throw.
No, either that or they just hard count.
Right. And by the way, Arthur, if you missed the interview, you can rewind on the Odyssey app. And if everyone's set, he thinks they get it. They were going for it. That was not a trying to draw somebody off sides. They were going to go for it.
Oh, sure, yeah. Because he wants to, again, this is setting up stuff later in the year because it makes the other teams think, oh, here, the Falcons, because gambler art is the best art. And now if he gets that reputation as being a gambler out there,
right,
people are going to, okay, this guy's going to, oh, wait, okie dokie.
Now, Cordero Patterson should be able to go. Okudah should be able to go. I got to be honest, with all due respect to CP, and I know he's a fan favorite, what I'm getting from Bijan, I really don't want to cut into Bijan touches. And that's another aspect of this. Now, if you want to use Cordero Patterson as a punt returner, and the special teams coach told the morning shift, if he's healthy, he'll do that, and that's fine. But I got to be honest, with all due respect to Cordero Patterson, why would I want to diminish the touches for Bijan Robinson?
Yeah, but that's the great thing about the Joker here. I don't know that he's going to play much running back. I don't think he's going to
flanker.
Yeah, I think he's a slot guy.
Slot guy.
Yeah.
Taylor Decker is out. Their tackle is out.
Right.
That's not even a game time decision.
Right.
Safety Kirby Joseph both ruled out. We've talked about some of the other injuries. Groin injury. Now again,
I bet CJ Gardner Johnson's not even on there. He's out for the year.
That's IR.
Yeah.
And then Josh Reynolds, the wide receiver, opposite Amon-Ra St. Brown, got a groin. That's a tough injury to deal with. On paper, they're banged up. We're pretty much 99%. So I just hope we can protect our boy, Aiden Hutchinson. I would think maybe whether it's Michael Pruitt or Jonnu Smith, you can chip him. If Jake needs help, well, Jake won't need help. Caleb McGarry will need help.
Yes.
And if you are the Lions, Hutchinson's going to wind his way down to that other side.
Right. That's where,
so just chip him.
Yeah. John Fitzpatrick helps you,
Right.
I mean, somebody like that.
So double team Hutchinson.
Be interesting to see who they stack at tight end. Is it going to be Hesse? Is it going to be Michael? Who's going to be behind Jonnu?
By the way, what's the over-under for shots of Hutchinson's family on Sunday on Fox?
Yeah, right.
Let's take a look at that beautiful hot sister. No, please, that's totally disrespectful. It is Dukes and Bell, guys. John Fricke is filling in for Carl today.